is up, everybody? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It's a girl, Denise Salcedo, as always, joined by Santi Zap, and we are here to chat the May 12th edition of Monday Night Raw. Now, here's the thing, Santi. Well, first of all, before we get into it, man, how are you?
Listen, Backlash was a blur to me. I had internet outages left, right, and center. I was driving between Niagara Falls and my place. We were doing like a whole Mother's Day thing. So Backlash was a mess. I went to Niagara Falls, lost like $300 at the casino. So I had a pretty shitty weekend, Denise.
Oh no. Okay? Well, you want me to make you feel better? Actually, I have a funny story to share that you might like. Okay, so when your stream was crashing out for Backlash, there was people that were coming into my stream and being like, "Oh, Santi's stream crashed." So now the running joke. You want to know what the running joke is? I'm Plan B, because someone said like, "Oh, you're my backup plan." So now the running joke is I'm Plan B, and now people are also calling me Seth Rollins. So there's that too. But nice. I'm owning it. I'm owning it.
Denise Salcedo stream, the Santi's app waiting lobby, where people just wait for Santi.
Funny because every single time, like, your stream would come back. I know your stream would come back when my numbers would drop. I know your stream would go down when my numbers would go back up. So it just kept going like that for all of Backlash. So Denise Salcedo, Plan B over here.
Well, next time when you get those boosts, as I'm fixing my internet, just hit them with a bunch of ads. Profit off those guys.
Just bam, 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 ad. So there you go. If that makes you feel a little better, we do got that. But anyways, let's get into it. Monday Night Raw. I'm gonna kick things off with the women's match because Santi, there's been some news floating around for a while now that there's a rumored Evolution 2 PLE incoming. There's even a rumored date right now. There's a rumored possibility that it may go up against All In. Now, of course, this has not been confirmed by WWE or anything like that, but I do want to throw that out there because I'm looking forward to Evolution. I want them to do Evolution. It would suck if it does go up against All In because obviously I'll be watching that too. But I want to start there. What are your thoughts on the possible Evolution 2?
I'm excited for it. I sincerely hope that they don't go up against All In because I'd love to be able to watch both shows separately from one another and not have to bounce between the two. We're already having to bounce between the two, between Battleground and Double or Nothing. Now, mind you, they've done that the past 3 years, so I'm kind of used to jumping between Battleground and Double or Nothing. It's not my first rodeo, but for All In, I desperately don't want to deal with that. And to put the women to have to go up against AEW's biggest show of the year also kind of sucks for them because they're going to be losing out on eyeballs that should be theirs. But again, I'm going to tune into AEW's biggest show of the year. There's people that are very casual about AEW that will tune in at the very minimum to All In. That's what you do, even if you just want to dip your toes into AEW once a year. That's the show that you watch. I feel like if anything, WWE is just hurting themselves in this scenario because I just don't think that the Evolution PLE will damage All In's numbers. I don't see it. If it was like another big show that was that was intergender, if we were talking about a Money in the Bank, I feel like that's a different story. But I just don't think that the Women's Evolution 2 PLE is going to do the damage that they think it might do.
No, I don't think so either. I think if anything, it's going to hurt Evolution more than All In. And then I hate that because the whole thing that people have been saying is, oh, women don't draw, women this, the pay-per-view always fails, right? Like that's always the argument, right? And you can't set them up like that.
Yeah, you're handcuffing them immediately right off the rip.
And it's not fair. I think right now the women are doing some of the best work, and we've been talking about that a whole lot, and we're going to talk about that right now because we had a phenomenal main event today in which Rhea Ripley.
I do want to say this about the Evolution PLE. If it were to flop, if it were to do terrible numbers, I wish it would flop on its own accord, right?
Yes.
Not then us having to point a maybe an external factor as to like that was the reason. If it flops, right? I'd rather it just sink or swim on its own, but I feel like WWE is already putting it 6 feet under by putting it up against All In.
Yeah, I really hope they don't do that. I hope that that rumor going around is hopefully not true, and they can pick a different date for that, because I think
Agreed.
the women deserve to have the spotlight on them, man. Like, people have been waiting for Evolution 2 for several freaking years. At one point, we didn't even think it was ever going to happen again, and then suddenly the women got so much momentum that people were starting to talk about it more, and now here we are on the eve of that possibly happening. So Rhea Ripley, Io Sky teamed up together to face Roxanne and Giulia, and this was the main event. This was by far the best match of the night, Santi. I'm sorry, I don't think anything came close to it. I was highly disappointed in AJ Styles and Finn Balor. I thought it was such a slow-paced match, man. War Raiders and American Made, I thought could have had a little bit more of a banger of a match there. There was just really nothing that even came close to the women's main event. The interactions with, particularly in this matchup, for me was Giulia and Io Sky. When I saw both of those girls work together, oh, that was probably my favorite part here. And usually it's been the other way. It's usually been Roxanne and Io, but they've been doing their stuff too, and that was great. But today in particular, that's what stood out to me the most. But I love this match. What'd you think of it?
I pretty much agree with everything that you're saying here. However, I will say when the match ended, I was like, great match. So what's next? Like, what was the overall purpose of this? Was it just have a good match for the sake of a good match? Because it wasn't, hey, let's make Giulia and Roxanne be this scary new threat in the women's main event scene. It clearly wasn't that. It's still just a setup for more Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. I just wish that they found a way to get to the Io Sky Rhea Ripley thing without feeding them Roxanne Perez and Giulia. I really would have preferred for WWE to make us believe that they are a threat to those two, because they've not been able to do that over the past 4 weeks, right? They keep getting run out, they lose matches, and now they've lost. Now both of them has lost. Cool that Giulia got to make her main roster debut on a main event. That's awesome. But I'm still struggling to see the overall vision of why was this here instead of it just simply for any other reason aside from it just being a good match for the sake of a good match, because it was an excellent match.
Yeah, so you bring up a good point, right? Okay, so at the end of this, there's still that lingering feeling between that lingering feud between Rhea and Giulia. That's the one where I still think they still are going to make that happen at some point. But given how things ended, which was Rhea and Io lifting up the women's championship bout and her kind of nodding, they both kind of had an understanding. Like, Rhea, without saying it, basically said, I want your championship. And Io understood that. Like, there was that mutual understanding. And then even the little spank she gave her afterwards, I'm like, okay, that's her basically saying, you go, girl, you have your little moment, but essentially, I'm going to take your title back afterwards. Maybe I read too much into that, but that's the way I read that. And so now, Rhea and Io, if they do run it back, though, does Io defeat Rhea again? Does this feel like we're running too many things back? Because there's another topic we're going to get into later on with Jey Uso and Gunther, where it looks like that is going to be run back again. So do we really want to kind of circle back to all of this? And then the other thing I want to get to is Roxanne Perez. Somebody brought up in my chat that she has not won a match since February. Do you think that is hurting Roxanne Perez at the moment?
Yes and no. I say no because she's still 23. I feel like at any moment they can snap their fingers and just have her go on a crazy win streak. But I think more than anything, we need to look at the context surrounding Roxanne Perez, which is she's main eventing Monday Night Raw. She is standing toe to toe with the giants of not just Monday Night Raw, but all of WWE and two of the biggest names in all of professional wrestling, in Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. That to me screams a vote of confidence, even if it's not her winning yet. I do think somewhere down the line, this should mean she will eventually win. I think she's in a fine spot. For me, the confusion doesn't lie necessarily in Roxanne Perez losing. My confusion comes from the fact that they've set these two up to be these like dangerous threats in the women's division, and the results of the matches haven't really indicated that to me at all. And the result of today equally didn't do that. You were excited for Rhea Ripley versus Giulia as a potential match down the line. Because of this match, sadly, I'm less excited for it because Rhea pinned Giulia. You know, had Giulia pinned Rhea, holy hell, that we're in a different realm, and give me Rhea Ripley trying to get that win back against Giulia. So a lot of the things that we could have built that could have been exciting with Giulia and Roxanne Perez didn't really get built in this match whatsoever, or really over the last couple of weeks. So I am confused what they're doing. If anything, it almost feels like they're in a standstill, what in sports is called like a triple threat, waiting for the big moment to actually happen. Triple threat not being triple threat match. It's called a triple threat stance, where you can attack, defend, attack, anything, whatever, at any moment. Maybe they're waiting for there to be a Money in the Bank briefcase holder lurking around, because that could change things. It certainly sounds like the World Heavyweight Championship is doing that. And we're just going to conveniently have Jey Uso versus Gunther the night after Money in the Bank, right? So it does feel like maybe WWE at the moment is just waiting for those briefcases to be handed out to their specific people to really then push forward storylines for these world titles.
Oh, see, I'm not crazy about that, honestly. Like, I don't like that idea. It feels like right now, I guess I want newer storylines. I don't want to keep feeling like we're still stuck in the same place that we were for WrestleMania. I don't want to feel that way. And then when this particular matchup here, I feel like they found themselves in a situation where it was, yes, these girls, Roxanne and Giulia, they should be picking up these wins. But at the same time, how do you justify the main roster women losing to two girls who are still NXT talent? And so I feel like they kind of got stuck in this like weird spot there. So I don't even know what to make of this anymore, but I still want to see, I'm interested in Rhea and Io. However, I don't know where that goes and where we go from there. And then also I am interested in seeing, I wouldn't mind them running back Roxanne and Io and Roxanne and Rhea either. And then again, Rhea and Giulia. So
also, I was just going to say, I would love some clarification as to what the hell Giulia and Roxanne are, because they keep calling them NXT girls, but Roxanne doesn't appear on NXT anymore. It looks to me like Giulia has reached her end of NXT when she didn't even get a chance to go after that championship again. She lost to Jordan Grace in the qualifier match for Battleground. So there's literally nothing at the moment for Giulia to be doing on NXT. What are these two?
They haven't necessarily made the big hoorah moment of, hey, these girls are now main roster talents. They have not done that. I think from my understanding, they're still preferring them as to NXT talent. So that's where I also feel like there needs to be some clarification, or just because until they announce them, because here's the thing, Santi, everyone feels bigger once they're officially announced for the main roster. No matter how big of a fan you are of someone, the second they say, hey, they're main roster, bam, all of a sudden they're looked at differently. They look like bigger stars. People care about them more. There's more buzz around them. And so that's kind of where we're stuck at right now. We do got some super chats here, so let's get to them. We got McTaro here who says, Santi, you got explaining to do. No excuses from last weekend, Saturday. Savage.
Is what it is. The people demand me. I'm a commodity, and when I can't deliver, people get angry, Denise.
You're pretty soon going to be on that Roman schedule.
I'm on that tribal chief schedule.
We got Dominic Cena here who says, Santi, it's Mrs. Plan B. She will explain the rest. See, I'm owning it, all right? I'm owning it. Thank you, Dominic. We got David here who says, nothing to do with Raw, but at Backlash, I was sitting next to an obnoxious Cena fans. It was like Santi was sitting next to me. Annoying. Still can't get over that Backlash appearance. So awesome. Thank you, David, for sending in this super chat. Santi, do you feel like you are the annoying John Cena fan?
No, I think I am a rational individual. I first of all, David, suck my ass. How about that? But you were probably sitting next to a well-groomed, handsome, funny, charming, wealthy individual. If they're a Cena fan, that clearly they have good taste.
Oh, All right. I was going to say, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Thank you, David. We got Anthony Giuliano here who says, I saw LA Knight at Walmart last Thursday in Orlando. It was a cool moment. My favorite thing tonight was standing ovation for Pat McAfee. That's really great. Super random to see LA Knight at Walmart. But hey, man, that's freaking cool. And then in regards to Pat McAfee, yeah, man. I mean, he came back. He's here. He's doing commentary. I'm curious on your thoughts on this, Santi, because I thought that Gunther was going to kill Pat McAfee. He stood tall after Backlash, and here he is, perfectly fine, cleared, ready to go.
Denise, go back if you want to rewatch this boring episode of Monday Night Raw. I pointed this out. The person with the most screen time today was, for some reason, Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, all right, he got his own entrance, not during commercial break, when Chad Gable and Penta both got commercial entrances. They waited for commercials to come back, for them to come back from commercials to do a Pat McAfee entrance, for Pat McAfee to get his moment. And then they did a video package of Pat McAfee versus Gunther. Then they had Pat McAfee do a standing ovation for the crowd. Then they had the Pat McAfee minute. Oh my God.
I think Triple H just really, really likes Pat McAfee. I think Pat McAfee is, because he has spoken very highly of him in the press conferences. And mind you, he speaks highly of a lot of people. But I just feel the way that he does talk about Pat McAfee, you can really tell he really likes him. And I feel like Pat McAfee is so connected with the sports world. And I feel like them kind of having Pat McAfee as that person to kind of be this, this bridge between the sports world and WWE, like they love that. It's great for them, right? And I think that that's why they are protecting Pat McAfee and showing him all this love and respect on the show. And I'm a Pat McAfee fan, but yeah, dude is getting he's getting a lot. I'm a big Pat McAfee fan. I like the stuff that he brings to the table. I didn't love the ending of Gunther and Pat McAfee. Santi, my whole issue at the end was when Gunther had him in the chokehold. I'm like, yo, I can't buy Pat McAfee doing this soaking up to look too cartoonish, too cheesy. It wasn't working for me. I just wanted to see Pat McAfee get brutalized by Gunther. And so, again, I'm a fan, but yeah, they definitely like him, and you can tell. Thank you, Anthony. We got Sin City Saint who says, as someone who's been in the casino business for 22 years, I could have told you to save your $300, Santi. No one really wins. I always have a $20 limit for me. I know it's super low, but I only ever gamble $20 when I go to Las Vegas. One time I was able to turn $5 into $75. And it was like the proudest moment of my life. I couldn't believe it.
It's an insane return.
Yeah, and it never happened ever again. So I'm still waiting for the day. Thank you, Sin City Saint. We got Uncle Donk here who says Raw is mostly directionless. Yeah, we're going to get into some things that are a little bit, not too much there to talk about. We got Bob Ross Jr. here who says Giulia getting the main event spot in her first main roster match is so cool. Triple H loves his Joshi wrestlers. I think there's a lot of respect there for Giulia as well, especially coming off of that performance that she did with Jordan Grace. Thank you, Bob Ross. We got David Montalvo who says, Plan B, does this make Denise the AEW to Santi's? Hold on. Plan B, does this make Denise the AEW to Santi's WWE?
I'm the Fed. What can I say? Now I'm gonna start running my Wii streams up against your main streams. That's what I'm gonna start doing.
How sad. I'm just trying to compete. I'm just trying to offer more opportunities in the pro wrestling business.
Well, now we're gonna have to have some tribalism. All right. Anybody that supports AEW Denise, you're dead to me, because that's how tribalism works.
Damn, Santi's about to go buy off like every other YouTuber and just make a big giant monopoly. And then they're all just going to come and pummel me. And I'm just going to be there like, no. All right. Thank you, David. All right. We got Uncle Donk here who says there's no possible match from Evolution I would rather see than Kenny and the Rainmaker. Don't do it. Ah, man, it's unfortunate. Thank you, Uncle Donk. We got Bob Ross Jr. who says enough time has passed. Do we consider Pure Fusion Collective a top 10 failed faction in the WWE? Also, I think I just gave y'all video idea. That's a really great video idea, honestly, Bob. I recently Santi spoke with Daria, and she was talking to me about how there was only one way that Pure Fusion Collective would have worked, and that was if they ran rampant across the entire women's division. And because they didn't do that, Pure Fusion Collective was never going to take off. And that's the truth. Because when you saw those girls, you thought, dude, they're going to kill everybody. Yep. And then they killed nobody.
One of the things I always pointed out, I'm like, they talk as if they destroyed the whole women's division, right? They kept saying the women's division has been put on notice. I'm like, you just lost a match. What are you fucking talking about? Why does your script say to say this when the things that are happening in the ring do not support what you're saying right now? It was really, really weird.
Yeah, I feel really bad because, dude, oh my God, when I was interviewing Daria, I had even said, man, unfortunately, we haven't even seen Shayna on TV. And then fast forward 3 weeks later, she's released. And I'm just like, shit, man. Like, obviously, thank God Zoe's still there, but we haven't even seen Zoe on TV. We haven't even seen her in any backstage segments. Nothing. It's terrifying for them.
Nothing.
We got Dave Costier who says Graps were the first tonight. Gable Penta was my favorite match. Then the main, and then AJ Finn, and I even dug the Raiders American Made bout. And guess what? No DQ is what a world's likely why I loved it. Interesting. I'm happy you liked the show. I thought Gable and Penta was all right, but I've seen better from both Gable and Penta, and I've even seen better from obviously Gable and WWE, but even Penta and WWE, I've seen better matches. And then AJ Finn was too boring, and Raiders American Made, no one gave a dang, unfortunately. So that's where we were at.
Yeah, I also I think we're echoing the same sentiment here. Gable Penta was fine, but it's just it's significantly worse than their match that they had when Penta debuted. I'll say that. AJ Finn, dude, it's like they were walking through the motions, and Raiders and American was okay, was good. Yeah, but like, as well.
No,
it's just an episode. It's just an episode.
Yeah, that was very, very unfortunate. But again, at least we got the women's match, so that was fun. But yeah, you're right. No DQs. That is nice. So I'll give you that much. Dave also says, promo-wise, Open was great. Love that they booked the tag for the Saturday night's main event. Makes that show must-see. Jay promo was terrific. Becky's You People was well-crafted. Dug the content, just was a hair long-winded. All right, so let's get into the start of the show with Dave's mention here. We had CM Punk basically go out there, talk about how he has trust issues, and that's the first we've heard of him since the attack following Raw after Mania. So he had a lot of things to say. CM Punk is not upset at anybody but himself for allowing himself to be fooled by Paul Heyman. He had some zingers in here, called Seth Rollins Timu CM Punk, and then called Paul Heyman fat two or three different times, and even referred to him as a penguin. And then Paul Heyman goes out there, Seth goes out there, and this led to some back and forth between Punk and Seth. Seth trying to kind of, basically say CM Punk was a bad friend to Paul Heyman, basically a lot of what he's already said. And this led to a melee between Seth, Braun. Eventually, Sammy went out there to help out, and Jey eventually went out to help out. So we ended up getting a 3-on-2 collision here, and they did make the matchup for Saturday night's main event. Braun and Seth versus Sammy and CM Punk. How'd you feel about what you saw out here, and how are you digging this?
This felt, you know what it is now. I'm realizing this is an episode of Monday Night Raw that was more focused towards building Saturday night's main event than they were about building to something bigger. And maybe that's where I'm having a little bit of a disconnect with this show, because I thought that this was fine, but like when you name the people that you just listed, I just was expecting a little bit more fireworks out of what we got. There was nothing I didn't like about this, but even the Punk, the Punk promo, the Seth rebuttal, sending Braun Breaker, that was cool, but they literally did nothing we haven't already seen. Like, it was a rehashing of different versions of things that have already happened in multiple weeks. So in terms of moving the needle for me, in terms of the Seth and Punk stuff, the new faction stuff, The Punk and Heyman thing, the Seth Rollins in relationship with Sami Zayn, it didn't move those forward in any capacity whatsoever. It did set us up for CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus the new faction at Saturday night's main event. But aside from that, I don't really feel like we push forward enough with this segment.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I came wanting out of this was I want to see that friendship blossom between CM Punk and Sami Zayn. I'm sorry, I want to see it. I feel like they're two likable people. I really want to see the dynamic of them together. So that is the thing that I did like from this. And I did like some of the shots that CM Punk threw at Seth Rollins. I thought that was fun. The one thing, did you notice that the way that they presented the backstage segment with Seth Rollins was pretty much copy and paste how they presented Roman Reigns back in the day with the bloodline on SmackDown? They did the exact same camera angle where they started off with a zoomed in, pensive, thinking Seth Rollins, zoom out, Paul Heyman's there watching intently, and then suddenly he's revealed to, be talking to Braun Breaker. That is exactly what they would do every week with Roman Reigns.
Yep, it's so funny. I literally was thinking the exact same thing when they were in that backstage segment. Another, I guess, aspect to mention is that we did have Braun Breaker attack Jey Uso backstage, cock blocking the only time that Ludwig Kaiser is able to get on TV, which is hilarious. And I guess that sets us up for Braun Breaker versus Jey Uso next week.
They're doing it next week. Look, I feel so bad for Ludwig Kaiser, but they've been having him do this every single week. Every single week he goes out there and says, this is my year. 2025 is my year. And then nothing. And this time, the worst part is, Jackie's question was, hey, it's almost half the year and we haven't seen you wrestle.
And then they just, sorry, we don't care.
Messed up. I'm like, yo, why are you gonna call him out like that if he's not even gonna have a chance to really answer? So I actually felt bad for Ludwig Kaiser on that regard. I still think that they should have just pulled the trigger and done Gunther and freaking Ludwig Kaiser. But hey, that's where we're at right now. Thank you so much, Dave. Dave also says video request for both of your great YouTube channels. Can you fantasy book Evolution 2? Because my brain is going wild with logical matchups. Possibilities are endless. As Denise says, the women are money. Yes, I feel like that's obviously a great idea, and probably
I always do. I always do for every PLE. Once it gets announced, and like once we're about 4 weeks away, you'll get that from pretty much all of the wrestling YouTubers. We all do that.
Book it right there, man. But no, it's cool though, because there is a lot of possibilities for Evolution 2, where I feel like almost every single person will have different matchup ideas that they want, some that are logical and some that are maybe not. They're just, fantasy booking some of these. But that's I think that's what I want to see most from Evolution 2 is matches. You got to really stack it up. You got to really stack it up with some dream matches. And right now they have a lot of possible ones like that. Thank you, Dave. We got McTaro here who says, can y'all please take a moment to talk about Sabu? RIP ECW legend deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So McTaro, I had just done a video, Santi, when they announced, or right before the Hall of Fame, I did a video and it was, legends that should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Sabu was one of them. And I just don't understand. Like, this is a guy that I feel gave so much to the business and really pioneered, this style that he was just, death defying and just, scary and crazy, but so entertaining to watch. And he never got the flowers that a lot of people, do get. He was one of those that just didn't get that. And unfortunately, he passed at 60 years old. And it's one of those things where he was around and did so much for so many years that you would have thought he would have gotten the flowers and the respect when he was alive for what he did. And when you think ECW, like you think Sabu, I only got to watch him perform live one time. And I was so excited. I went to this random lucha show. Can't even remember the name of it out here in LA several years ago. And the only reason I went was because Sabu was going to be on that card. And I had never seen Sabu wrestle live. And I wanted to so bad. And the crazy part is, dude, me and my co-host Reg, we were just talking about he had gone to go see his last match at WrestleMania weekend with Joey Janela, and we were just talking about it, and I don't know, I have like all of these, it felt so sudden. Like, we know that obviously his lifestyle was, different, but it still felt very, very sudden.
A death at 60 will always be sudden. That's still so young. For me, my earliest memory of Sabu is in the WWE, like One Night Stand. I remember One Night Stand too. Him versus Rey Mysterio was insane. I fell in love with just like the crazy shit that this man would do. Just moves that no one else aside from him were, one, capable of doing, or two, willing to do. Because I said this in my stream. If I were to make a video of like the 10 craziest spots I've ever seen, Sabu would have 7 of the 10 spots. Like, the man really did put his body on the line. And when you look at how he was ultimately received in his career in different various organizations, I feel like he put his body on the line and never really got the appropriate credit for as crazy of things that he would do, right? So I do wish that in his career, especially in the bigger organizations that he was in, that he got a lot more of that love. Even like in ECW, like when people talk about ECW, he's always like the 5th name. It's always after RVD, after Taz, after the Dudley Boys. And it would have been nice to have him higher up in those conversations. I feel like this is going to be one of those losses to the wrestling community where you don't realize like what you had until you've fully lost him here. It's a shame. Obviously, like at 60 years old, that's way too early to lose anybody, but I'll have the memories that he left behind, because there were some absolutely freaking crazy ones.
Yeah, and there's a lot of matches that you guys can go and watch over on the Peacock. I put out like a couple of some on my Twitter account, just some to go back and watch and whatnot. Also, some really great TNA ones. I think someone said on my chat that there was I think TNA put like a video compilation of a lot of
TNA
his
Plus.
matches.
Yeah, TNA Plus
Plus
tends to do like, hey, these are like so and so's like their library. If you guys want to see a fun one, I actually think it's on their YouTube. Sabu versus Abyss in a Monster Mayhem match or something like that.
It was the one where he did the forehead spot with I think it was either a fork or was it a tree grater, one of those, but he's like tearing into his forehead.
Yeah, go watch that one if you want to see what Sabu's all about.
Yeah. So obviously, sending love to Sabu's family, his friends, his fans, and I hope that 2 things. I hope that when it comes to Sabu, obviously his fans, I'm sure, have gone back and probably rewatched some of his matches after the news, but hopefully some new fans too. You can still become a fan, obviously. But the other thing is that I hope WWE starts to really take the time to induct these people into the Hall of Fame that really deserve it, and especially the older people, because you just don't know how long we're going to have them around for. And there's so many sad stories in pro wrestling, and I feel like we just need to take the time that while these legends are still around, to give them their flowers while they're here, and that they can, actually embrace the moment. Thank you so much, Miktaru, for giving us an opportunity to talk about this. Thank you. We got Dominic Cena here who says, no spacebar for now. You're welcome. I know Def Rebel has been bad themes, but they also have bangers. Here are superstars with banger Def Rebels themes. He points out at the top of his head, Romans, Seth Rollins, Solo, Jacob Fatu, Jimmy, Jay, Gunther, Io, Chelsea, Tiffany, Rhea, Mello, Saints, Ego, Ethan Page, Dominic, LA Knight, Naomi, etc. Those are some good ones. I think at the end of the day, it depends on everybody's musical taste and what they like and what they don't like. There's some of these that I love, some of them that I don't care for. And it's just, but they definitely do need better theme songs across the board for everybody. Thank you, Dominic. We got Anthony Giuliano here who says, I like Gunther giving Pat respect after this match. We got also Joke Al here who says Santi Zap versus Pat McAfee confirmed.
No, I like Pat McAfee. I thought it was weird how much love he was getting on Raw. That's all.
Bob Ross Jr. says, does it feel like WWE is trying their hardest to move SmackDown to Netflix by purposely making it look bad on USA Network? Absolutely not. You don't want to, I think that it's nice to have money in different places, because you don't want to like put all your eggs into one basket. You don't want to do that. So I don't think they're trying to do that. Thank you, Bob Ross. Dominic Cena says, not judging, but why does Santi take his streams down after?
Just the YouTube ones. The Twitch ones are still there. It's a YouTube algorithm thing because I upload so much that I just don't want the algorithm to push something that I'd rather push out the new daily video as opposed to maybe pushing out a stream from 5 days ago that is not really useful anymore.
There's a whole science when it comes to streams and videos. Like YouTube's kind of weird where it doesn't know how to promote both of them. It like promotes one or the other. It's like a whole freaking science. Trust me. I've had this discussion with so many creators. It's a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. Stephen Marchuli here says, could Cross win Money in the Bank? Well, let's talk about this. Karen Cross was only on the show very briefly. He was in the back of, I forgot who was walking. Someone was walking and he
Becky
was
Lynch.
In the back. Becky Lynch, thank you. And he was in the back handing his t-shirt to somebody. Did you catch who he was handing the t-shirt to?
Yeah, the New Day.
Thank you. Okay. So he passes the t-shirt. That was it. That's all we got from Karrion Kross. And everybody was like, well, you know, what's going on? Why not more Karrion Kross?
Well, that should answer your question, Steven. Like, if this guy can barely get 3 seconds of screen time and can get 0 seconds of talking points or matches, what makes you or me or anybody think that he's a viable Money in the Bank winner? I don't see it. I don't see it. I would love for him to. I would love for him to get these opportunities, but everything that I'm seeing says nah from the WWE.
Yeah, it's weird. Do you think I don't even know. Do you think it's because they've tried so many times and it didn't go over, so now they're kind of not wanting to invest in them, even though the fans are getting behind them?
That makes no sense. Why not try when you should try, when the iron is actually high? He's literally your number one merch guy right now. The fans are behind him. Why not try when he has the best opportunity to succeed? That seems weird to me.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's almost like what they had. It's almost the same thing that I feel kind of happened with LA Knight, where LA Knight got so over, but it just wasn't his time. And they didn't know what to really do with him. And then that kind of like, he still gets great reactions and people love to chant with him, but it's never gone above and beyond, especially the kind of reactions and the certain buzz that he was getting at a certain time and point. So I don't know. I kind of see those very similar. We got Vin here who says, by the way, thank you so much for the generous super chat. Says, love to see young people hustling. Love the tribute to Sabu. Great work. Take over. Thank you so much for the support, Vin. Obviously, you know, I think, you know, just getting the chance to at least talk about Sabu has been very cool. But I wish that it wasn't like this. I wish it didn't have to be because someone passed away that we're talking about them. So it sucks, man. It really, really sucks. Thank you, Vin. I got David here who says, Santi, I'm canceling my $15 Patreon subscription because of that ass comment. That man was Latino, wore glasses and a hat, and had a Cena belt. Immediately thought of you. Damn, you got put into a prototype, Santi.
Yeah, what is this? I got cloned in St. Louis. You're not allowed to cancel your $15 patron subscription. You're stuck there, all right?
Thank you, David. We got Sin City Saint here who says, what has irked me the most in Sabu's passing, Paul Heyman hasn't said a word, seems wrong to me. I wasn't online yesterday, so I haven't seen who has and hasn't said anything because it was Mother's Day, so I was offline. I don't know if you saw any of this, Santi, by any chance?
No, I haven't seen anything. I was gone all weekend and I had no internet all weekend. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I will take a peek, Sin City Saint, but I'm sorry, I wasn't up to date that he hadn't said anything. The Kellen Dean says, Denise, are you going to LAX Fan Fest next month? Sorry, Santi, don't know what state you are in.
I'm in the 51st state. I'm in the 51st state.
Go. LAX Fan Fest, I never actually go. I don't go, but I'll be at Comic-Con Revolution though. Thank you, the Keelan Dean. We also got Shihab Caesar here who says, you reckon Cena will retire as a Grand Slam champion?
I don't think so. I think it's all about the World Championship. I don't think he's going to be detouring to the IC title anytime soon.
Yeah,
he feels so removed from that.
Yeah, that's true. Anthony Giuliano here says, Santi, let me know when you get in the ring, Gunther, and in the ring with Gunther and how you feel afterwards. He gets done with chopping your chest. LMAO will give you respect. How much would you ask for to get a spot if you had the chance to wrestle Gunther or not even wrestle Gunther, take one chop for Gunther and they said, name your price?
My price would be let me film it and post it on YouTube. That's the sick content creator in me. Just let me film it.
Yo, I would be like, film it and give me money, bro. I would 100% take my money too. Give me both, damn it. I'm out here almost practically dying if Gunther. I think if Gunther chopped me, my heart would literally stop. Like that would be the end.
Yeah, there's a chance I go into cardiac arrest.
Yeah, for sure. And then what if you go into cardiac arrest and you don't get the chance to post your video, Santi?
Oh, no. We got plenty of contingency theory abilities. I have already told my family, post the video of me dying if it exists, especially if it's Gunther chopping me. We've already talked with my community about live streaming my funeral. You know, make sure to send your super chats. Submit your super chats, folks.
We got MSQ here who says, not saying Vince was a better booker than Triple H, but two things Vince had over Triple H was unpredictability in his booking and theme songs. I can't co-sign on this one, MSQ. I can't co-sign. Thank you for the super chat, though. Bob Ross Jr. says, I'd rather see John Cena face R-Truth at Saturday night's main event than a prominent superstar like CM Punk or Drew McIntyre on that live house show. Saturday night's main event to me kind of feels like I don't have to absolutely tune in. Does it still have your attention span like that kind of dedication?
It doesn't. If I didn't do what I did for a living, I would feel comfortable missing Saturday night's main event. They've already had enough chances to win me over as hey, this is a can't miss show. Both times they've swung and missed. And I don't think that they're going to all of a sudden change that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too. We got Sin City Saint here who says maybe Cena goes to the Kenneth Jerome Omega, thank you, Xavier Woods route and becomes the belt collector, kills wrestling by taking all the belts. Yeah, including all the women's championships too. Just take them all. Take them all. Thanks, Sin City Saint. All right, I want to get into the Jey Uso segment here because the Jey Uso segment is kind of one that I really wasn't expecting it to go this direction. We're going to see Jey Uso versus Logan Paul happening at Saturday night's main event. And Gunther basically come out and said that he's going to have a chance at Jey Uso or whoever wins the match, right? Whoever wins is going to face Gunther. We all know Jey Uso's winning, right, Santi?
So they made it even more obvious. They made it even more obvious. Like this is so textbook Saturday night's main event booking. They care. And I don't blame them, but they telegraph too much beyond Saturday night's main event. They've done this every single time for like every single Saturday night's main event where it's like, well, when they did, for example, Gunther versus Jey Uso, and the following week was the Royal Rumble, but Jey Uso had been announced for the Royal Rumble. He was literally the first person announced for the Royal Rumble match. Right. So like immediately I'm like, well, then obviously he's not going to go into fucking Royal Rumble match as the World Heavyweight Champion. I feel like they're doing it here. They're not going to do Logan Paul versus Gunther on the Monday Night Raw after Money in the Bank. That's just not going to happen. So they basically, not that anybody thought that Jey Uso was going to lose to Logan Paul, but now if I have to choose between a fun night out with friends and family or Saturday night's main event, it's an easy choice. I'm not going to sweat missing Saturday night's main event, because I just know that they don't make brave decisions here. And they sure as hell are not going to make the decision to have Jey lose to Logan. At the very least, pretend like it could happen, you know? But they can't even do that.
No, I think the bravest decision they've made was having LA Knight drop the U.S. title to Shinsuke Nakamura on Saturday night's main event. I think that's the bravest thing they did, and it was ass.
That was Survivor Series.
That was Survivor Series?
That was Survivor Series.
This whole time I've been saying that was Saturday night's main event.
No. Literally the only like title change that's happened at Saturday night's main event is Chelsea Green winning the final of the U.S. title.
In my mind, that has been Saturday night's main event. I kid you not. That's what I've remembered. To
be fair, they were like a week apart.
Okay, thank you. Because I've literally been saying that like 100 times. I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever. That's all I remember. So technically, I have no memory of Saturday night's main event.
Yeah. It's like
it's bad.
So my overall thoughts on that, right? When they're basically announcing Gunther versus Jey Uso. To me, WWE isn't even attempting to make you believe that there could be drama between Jey Uso and Logan Paul at all.
Yeah, no, definitely not. He's barely even been there. So I mean, I don't know what to say. All right, we got Jake Al here who says, "Thank you both for being amazing and engaging content creators. Much love from Sydney, Australia." Dude, thank you for watching from Sydney, Australia. I don't even know what time it is over there right now.
Neither does Dom.
Hey, I was like, bro, what did they do to Dom? Like, why did they make him seem stupid? That was so fucked up. I didn't love that they made Dom look like he didn't know what time zones were.
To me, they worked. I'm like, that's funny.
Santi, he's a world-traveling WWE performer. If he didn't know time zones, how would he get through?
He's literally
life?
he's literally the intercontinental champion. Intercontinent,
Oh
multiple continents, and he doesn't know the concept of time zones. That's freaking hilarious to me.
See, I was thinking, if they want to make him airheady, make him airheady, but don't make him stupid. That's what I was thinking. Like, how could they do that to poor Dominic? Even I wasn't on board with that. MSQ here says, I was quoting BDE, unpredictable in a chaotic way. Awesome. Thank you, MSQ. We got Bob Ross Jr. who says, we live in a world where the US and IC title is the most important men's title on SmackDown and Raw as of right now. Yeah, I guess. Thank you, Bob Ross. Sorry, I had like a brain fart. I was trying to remember all the champions in a second. All right, so that was the Jey Uso segment. The only other thing that we have left to get into is actually Becky Lynch's promo, because that was straight fire, Santi. I loved Becky Lynch going off and saying that she was gonna put all the women down and say, what did she say? She said, "Oh, you're finally gonna know what it's like to be kept down by the man." She punched it so hard. I love that. And her saying, "I am whatever you say I am," the whole song reference, I thought that was great too.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. She had referenced, I think it was on the Raw post show that they do, that the fans call her Becky Hogan. So it sounds like she's like, okay, fine. You think that I've been this horrible person that keeps people down and doesn't let them be able to get ahead in the WWE? Now I'll actually become that, and let's see what you think about that. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I like this. I'm a fan. I like what they're doing. We didn't see Lyra. I don't know what's going on with her nose and stuff. I haven't kept up with that just yet, but they killed it, man. That was my favorite match of the night for Backlash for sure. So that's pretty much what went down today on the show. That was Monday Night Raw. Next week, Money in the Bank qualifiers begin. AJ Styles and Penta versus Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Sheamus versus Grayson Waller, and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker, non-title. That is our show, everybody. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in, for watching. Santi, tell the people where they can support you and check out your work.
You can find me anywhere that is Santi Zap on YouTube, Twitch, Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere you want to follow. Pick your poison, pick your favorite social media, and follow me there.
Same for me, @ Denise Salcedo across the board. YouTube.com/Denise Salcedo. I'm uploading so much stuff. Just dropped an interview with Mercedes Moné, Mina Shirakawa, and hopefully get some more stuff coming up. So make sure you guys go and subscribe. Thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.